That's going to be my number one note for this movie is how intrusively loud it was.
Were you okay? So was your theater? Did it sound like it was gonna explode? Because there was one speaker in my theater on the top left, and I could hear it was like rattling in its casing, and I was like, dude, this theater like can't take this Hans Zimmer falling asleep on his synthesizer music, and the theater's gonna explode. I was freaking out. It was like distracting.
It was honestly the most immersive soundtrack by definition.
Yeah.
Because you could not help but feel that you were being wholeheartedly thrown emotionally and audially. Whatever.
Sonically.
Ooh,
yeah. Ooh.
The hedgehog into the movie.
Yeah.
It was loud, and not always in the best of ways, but it was loud. They were appropriate. I mean, it sounded good. It was just loud. I felt like there were moments that were emphasized by those cannons and those horns, those Inception horns that we so often talk about.
Hans Zimmer knows how to take scary barge noises and make them into a soundtrack like nobody else, and it was beautiful.
It was. And speaking of beautiful, Ryan Gosling headlines this cast. We've got actually a lot of noticeable cast and characters, which I did not fully realize. We've got Dave Bautista is in there.
Yeah, I got Drax in the first 5 minutes of the movie. I was like, oh, this is cool.
I know. Robin Wright is a pretty.
She's making a comeback right now.
I know.
Wonder Woman, and now this movie. Woo, Robin Wright, Jen A.
Any others that are worth mentioning? Oh, Sylvia Hoeks plays Love. Harrison Ford. He's later on in the billing, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a big name.
Jared Leto.
Yep, I keep on forgetting that Jared Leto was in that movie.
And Edward James Olmos as a just.
She was my standout. If we're going to talk about
Edward James Olmos.
The girl who played the pleasure doll, Joy.
Oh,
Ana de Armas or something, right?
Ana de Armas.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job. I don't know if you've seen Ex Machina.
Yeah.
She reminded me a lot of Alicia Vikander in Ex Machina, playing like a robot that is robotic and sexy and interesting and mesmerizing and human, but it's a robot, and I thought she was great.
Yeah, I'm trying to even see what else she's been in. She's been in War Dogs.
I haven't seen her in anything before.
I haven't seen her either. It looks like it looks like she actually is a Hispanic actress. I'm trying to find out from where. Cuban.
There you go.
There you go. And yes, Havana. All right, yeah, but so this was one of her, if not the
probably her biggest role so far
to date.
Yeah.
Going down the list, Jared Leto. Did you enjoy his performance?
Yeah, sometimes I think Jared Leto is kind of an overblown actor. I think people kind of go a little crazy for him, but I thought he was a good fit for the character. I thought the girl who played his assistant, the girl who was the replicant, she was like the villain for me, and she outshined him, I thought, but he was fine. He didn't blow me away or anything.
No, and I don't know that I think in that specific role that he is that sort of overarching boss bad guy, where it's a bad guy who serves as a bigger force, and it's him behind everything, but not really his doing of anything. It's not him constantly pressuring personally the protagonist of the story.
Yeah.
But with that certain role,
he's like the Emperor Snoke of Blade Runner. He's just mildly he's there, but he's not really the antagonist of the movie at all.
Correct. No, and you don't necessarily associate him with being the antagonist. But in the role that he fulfills, I actually thought he did a better than serviceable job. I don't know if his performance stood out. If a little time will go by and I'll actually probably forget that he was in it. But within the film, within the context, which is a long journey, came out of that film
2 hours and 45 minutes, man.
45 minutes later saying, where did the time go?
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a slow or a fast-paced story either.
No.
There was a lot of moments, just like the first one.
Yeah, the first one's like an hour and 50 minutes, I think, maybe.
But it felt long.
Yeah, it feels long. Yeah.
That's something that this film successfully recreated. There's a couple of things that they recreated successfully that builds off the first one. Director Denis Villeneuve came on to direct this and pays a lot of successful homage to the first film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of establishing shots, all right, as well as
the cinematography is just absolutely insane. You know, it's just every single shot is like a swooping, dramatic, or a crazy close up to show off the CGI, and it's like, oh my god, it just blows your mind, man.
Now, as soon as I've seen this today, and you saw it opening day, so we have a little disparity there.
Yeah.
And it's more fresh for me. But even the opening establishing shot of the film is beautiful in that you automatically are aware. If you had never seen a trailer for this film, you are automatically aware of the environment you're in from this solar panel field and farm of just solar panels in a circle conglomerated around here in one section, a second section, and a third, and then it slowly descends into this foggy, desolate, apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah.
That is in stark contrast to that
probably
futuristic field. But you get both. You get both environments of the future as well as apocalyptic semi.
It's kind of like the what George Lucas came up with in the first Star Wars with that used universe where most sci-fi showed like this glittery, polished scenery with like all this new tech, and this is like, no, this is what the world will be like in 100 years. You know, when climate change has happened and everything is decrepit and we have this technology, but it's just this wasteland. I mean, they use the city of San Diego as a landfill because there's too much trash. And I thought that like all the world building in this movie, like creating a realistic and believable yet still like fantastic and fake environment, was just phenomenal.
And it looked very realistic.
I mean, I couldn't tell the difference between the practical effects and the CGI. I honestly, like, I couldn't even tell what was going on.
There's a lot of great visual here, and that's the number one, far and away best thing about this. We've seen another futuristic film earlier this year with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh man,
Ghost in the Shell.
Yep.
It was all right. In that, again, you're going to get that a lot. Either it usually stands to suffice that if you take on a futuristic film, you're going to either be praised by the cinematography or you're going to be held down because of it. And it's either not going to hold true to form or it's going to be, or it might even be standard.
Yeah.
This is the rare example that there were multiple different environments in the future that each stood out to be their own identity, and it worked marvelously.
Yep.
There was a warm environment that you felt when later on they go to introduce Decker's character, Harrison Ford's character.
Yeah, the whole, like, every single shot is like blown out like neon orange.
Yes.
And it's terrific.
And there's in the beginning it's all dark, it's very shadowy, and that's for that's the emotional feel you're supposed to feel as well. It's a shadow, and you're uncertain of what's actually happening in that moment. You're seeing it play out live, but you're still yourself as an audience member in the shadows.
Yep.
Later on, it's a dark and gloomy time because he himself is going through a dark and gloomy existence of not knowing who he is.
And then it's cold and helpless, and it's snowing, and you just feel numb to it.
And the one bright spot is Joy. Yeah, Joy's character, who is colorful, is bright and bubbly, even has an accent that is unescapable. And she's the lone brightness in this deep, dark world, and in whose ignorance and nuance is akin to a newborn baby. When she first goes out and quote unquote feels the rain, you know that's a beautiful moment. That it looks good and it's genuine. Yeah, that there's no artificiality of it, of when she's glitching and then there's an abrupt end to it. You actually feel just as the character does of being cut off emotionally in a moment that should be happiness, should be closure, should be together. It's a really well directed film in its entirety. Yeah, it's directed really well. It's got an effective use of its characters. Mm-hmm. I think that each person was actually additionally casted very well.
Yeah, I don't think that they could have picked a better choice than Ryan Gosling for his role. Bringing back Harrison Ford was a terrific choice. And they even used him effectively. I thought that this had the potential danger, such as an Indiana Jones or really even Star Wars, where the whole film becomes
paying homage so much to the original film that you get lost in just trying to recreate a sequel with no real depth or story. This didn't even introduce Harrison Ford to the final closing third act.
Yeah, like he doesn't come in for like 2 hours.
And he's not, dare I say, an important aspect of the film. He's an important side byproduct, but he's not really the driving force of what brings this whole film together. And I really enjoyed that about it. It was a natural way to bring back an old character that didn't feel forced whatsoever.
It made sense within the narrative. And the narrative, it might lose some people, but it's very elaborate. And within the context of what's going on, like, he had to have been there because of what, I don't want to ruin anything, but
it's going to be hard to step on some toes there. But that brings up a fantastic point that both of us saw this film with others who had never seen the original. Yeah. I would dare to step out on that ledge, even though I saw it with Ruby, my girlfriend, and she enjoyed it. She did have a lot of questions for me, even like before the movie started. She's like, "Wait, so what's this about?" Yeah, and it does a great forward narrative opening on a little bit of a background, enough to get you in the universe if you never saw it. And I saw that and I recognized that. But you will not enjoy this film to its fullest story potential without having seen the first, because there's don't go back and read it.
Watch Blade Runner from 1982 and then watch this. That's my biggest suggestion.
Yeah, and there's a lot of subliminal, or not really subliminal, but it's not in your face saying like let's say Star Wars: The Force Awakens. There's a lot of moments where it's unapologetically paying homage to former films. They'll bring back a droid, or they'll bring back CP3, and it's almost like one of those one-liner comedic action lines where it's a say it, there's a pause for the audience to laugh, and then they move on. Yeah. Same with paying off these teases of past films. They'll bring on a droid, and then it'll be like, wow, look at this new droid. And then both out like, hey, there's R2-D2. What have you. This film has none of that. It slides it completely underneath the door. You either get it or you don't. It either gets caught in that little trap space and you don't get it. But it doesn't leave a less fulfilling movie without it. It has the potential to be ever so much more if you have the entire backstory, because you'll have that history and you'll understand some more of a character's backstory.
Yeah, I think that style of telling the story and choosing to do the film that way has to be credited to Denis Villeneuve, the director. If you've seen any of his previous work, it's all dark. It's all like,
it's especially dark. Yeah, greatly directed.
It's all morally ambiguous. There's like a lot of themes. They're all very heady. And that's just his style. And for the Blade Runner universe, which is like, the original is like one of the darkest, most philosophical sci-fi films. There's a lot about humanity and symbolism in that. So much allegory, symbolism, and all the questions about existence.
What is existence? What is a human?
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve was the absolute best choice.
And really did a very strong impersonation in and of himself to Ridley Scott. It felt almost the same.
Well, the thing is, though, I think
Covenant.
I think he made his own movie, though. I don't think he was, because like you say with Star Wars, J.J. Abrams is kind of the master of taking Spielberg or Lucas and just making more of what people like. But I think Denis made his own movie with it's just his movie in the Blade Runner universe, and I think it worked great.
And Ryan Gosling, we kind of picked up on this. He had an interesting role in that largely it's an unemotional role. Yeah. It's being emotionally mute while still emoting. It's a conundrum that was
that's why I think hard. His performance in The Girl Who Played Joy was just so impressive, because you have to toe that fine line. Try not to give anything away, but you have to toe the fine line between emotionlessness and yet still showing deep humanity like in every scene and being like a likable protagonist, and he took that role and he molded it into his own, and he's so watchable in every scene. Like, he's funny, he's scary, he's serious. It's great.
Yeah, another thing I appreciated was there was not a wasted scene.
Yeah, every
much-
single, because the narrative is so twisty, every scene is necessary. They don't waste like any like throwaway scenes at all.
As much as I was aware and cognizant of how long the film was going, I did not feel that anything in there was unimportant. There's maybe one scene
Yeah.
maybe, and that's where, and this is in the trailer where he sees the big visual pink audio version of or visual version of Ana de Armas towards the end, and that to me could have been without. But outside of that one lone instance, there was not a regrettable scene. There was not a scene without some future necessary callback to. Even scenes that you thought, hey, I don't understand why this flashback or memory is happening. It was completely necessary and even served to further confuse the audience, and I loved the ultimate twist that happened at the end.
Yeah, and you talk about no wasted scene, and honestly, even if the narrative starts to lose you, literally every single shot in this movie, at least for me, I was like, there's just so much to take in. Like, I'm like, whoa, is that CGI? How are they doing that? Oh my god, look at the lighting. Oh, the production design is so good. Oh my god, like every single scene and take has something incredibly impressive, showing off how amazing technology
The
is.
attention to detail was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a scene where they're in a virtual reality dome.
Yeah.
And a woman is recreating
Dreams. Yeah.
And the way that they manipulated it in two separate instances within that one scene of a birthday party and a fly. She was creating a fly, and it was just genius how they made all that a reality. I can imagine how it looks like on words on a script.
Yeah.
But the way that they brought it to life was just beautiful. Everything in this film was beautiful to watch, and when it wasn't, it was beautifully necessary to propel the story along.
You know what I gotta say? Which scene stood out to me maybe the most, besides like the final climactic battle sequence, which I loved.
Right.
But the scene, the sex scene, the love scene. I'm not gonna say what happens, but that was like so mesmerizing, both within the narrative and both with me being like, oh my god, these effects are just absolutely incredible.
Yes.
It's not even showing off the effects because it's totally realistic within the narrative what's going on, but you're just watching it and it's such a beautiful moment, and like everyone was just holding their breath, and the whole like 5-minute scene was it just blew my mind. That immediately comes to mind for
Yeah,
me.
and it's this whole film just really worked, not just on the strength of its actors and acting, but that certainly bolstered it. It was beautiful, and it was acted beautifully.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep using that adjective purposefully because it looks great. There's not a scene that is not without care or thought.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere you go in this, and it's hard. I'm going to actually give some credence to the actors. Is that when you're acting in that environment, I'm sure it's all green, and I'm sure it's not all there.
It's like so hard to act like think about all the things we said about Ryan Gosling, and then you're like, oh, and he's also standing in front of a blue screen with dots.
Yeah.
While he's doing this,
And even the clothes. I mean, I even loved the attention to detail in that it created a realistic, futuristic world that was not cheesy and actually very inventive. It was. There are a lot of moments where I found myself saying, "Wow, I can foresee that coming.
Yeah.
I can foresee this being a reality. I can foresee this being a future product. I can foresee this somebody being inspired by this and saying, actually, how would that work in reality?" So kudos to them for predicting the future, much like Back to the Future Part 2.
Yeah.
For those who love that sort
No,
of thing.
it's funny because this is obviously a sci-fi. It's a fantasy, but like this is like such an accurate. Like I could see so much of this stuff coming to light in like 100, not 2049, but in 100, 200 years. I'm like, yeah, this is totally realistic. I think Ridley was onto something when he created this universe.
With the whole story itself, did you feel it was too long or just right? And how would you accredit to its less than lofty returns on investment?
So two parts: the narrative and then the box office,
Yeah.
pretty much. I didn't think it was too long. I'm a big. I mean, obviously, my favorite movie of all time is 3 hours and 30 minutes long, so I don't mind a long narrative. I think that it could have been a bit more coherent, which is why I don't think it's going to be a masterpiece like the original. I think it's really, really good, but I don't think it's going to be like legendary because I think that it might lose some people, and then also it just doesn't feel like it has that defined, concentrated endpoint that really drives the story. As far as the box office
Before
goes,
you go there,
yeah,
I just remembered a visual that I just absolutely
Just
love.
throw it in there.
The water that splashed throughout the entire room of Love's office, Sylvia Hoeks, the replicant assistant. In her office, there was a constant water shadow.
yeah, like
light, which
it's like
created
waves
this
on the wall.
wonderful effect throughout the entire.
Yeah.
It was so incredibly visually appealing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was some detail that you can find as any audience member in this film that really you could be drawn to.
Is that?
In a moment, and that for me was it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about its lofty returns.
So yeah, the
Right.
box office. I really think that it just dying at the box office can be accredited to the fact that Blade Runner is not like an American sci-fi staple like Star Trek or Star Wars. That people always go see those. Besides like film people, not a lot of people know about, care about, or have even seen Blade Runner. So I think that honestly, people might have seen the trailers, and it's funny because I was so excited for the trailer. And I saw it, and it got me even more hyped. But then, you think about it, and you're like, a lot of people have no idea what that even is or what's going on. And you really got to be aware of what's happening in the universe. And I just think people just don't care. It's a shame.
Unfortunately, it's become a cult classic after its release.
Yeah.
But what gets failed to be recognized within that fact is that it was also a dud when it got first released.
Yeah.
In order to become a cult classic, it at first had to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, if you have evidence as to understand that the first film, in fact, failed at the box office, that it didn't even have enough appeal in its first phase of life.
And for some reason, they made a sequel with, like a $200 million budget because a lot of people really passionately love that film. But yeah, you make a good point. And I wonder if 50 years down the line, we're going to look back at 2049 and be like, God, what a great movie.
Right. I think it's going to have to carve out its own niche in our cinematography. But
Yeah.
I think it was almost doomed to fail simply because I don't know if Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, any of those people are A-liners that can draw.
It's funny because everybody loves them, but Ryan Gosling isn't a guy who, when you think he's an A-lister, but he's not like a box office draw kind of actor. Like if you look at the work he does a wide variety of films from Drive to The Notebook to La La Land, comedy for Nice Guys.
Nice Guys, and then there was another one also, it's Crazy Stupid Love.
Yeah, so he's not like a consistently like, man, Ryan Gosling's in the action movie, we gotta go see it. He's not a Tom Cruise, he's not a Marvel guy.
That's the other thing, is that I think what appeals people to a lot of sci-fi and what drives them to it is that, I mean, even if we're just talking about Star Wars, you can even see it within the trailer. What they show is the action sequences of Star Wars. It's that continuous action that is a wide spread language, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, you can understand and see explosions.
Oh, it's a fight. Oh, it's good.
And the fact that
don't think that Blade Runner is going to be like that. If you go see Blade Runner, it's not like an action-packed movie at all.
No, there is action, and
there's good action too.
There is, yes. However, it's subtle in contrast to the story. You need, in order to enjoy the story, you need to be fully connected to what they are saying, the whole sequence of the story. And again, to get the full experience, I would seriously, highly suggest you watch the first Blade Runner before you see this, and you will enjoy it twice as much, if not more.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say? I'm trying to think.
I mean, honestly, like, it's funny because we touched on the score, but like, honestly, the score is a huge part of, I think, why this movie works too, because it just ebbs and flows perfectly with the narrative. The movie comes crashing to this amazing battle sequence as the climax, and perfectly paced, long, like you said. But I didn't even notice that I was in the theater for 3 hours because I was just like looking at the screen the whole time.
And to just build off your point, it's a great soundtrack because there are even moments that it forces you to pay attention because you're getting attuned to what the soundtrack is doing, and then it just stops. It becomes silent. It's a silent moment, and there's nothing else to do but to pay attention to what's being said, what you're being shown. One specific instance is a character is killed, and instead of being right there with the
sad violence,
violence and the action of going and the sound effects of how that person is dying, they zoom out to outside of the location, and you can see it, but you just can't hear it. You just hear the outside environment of rain.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
Yep.
And it's a great choice, and it's a great subversion to help you understand wholly how natural this feels and how much you're supposed to focus in on what's actually happened instead of getting drowned out. So good audio selection. Going to our official Boucher Bars system, what would you like to give this on a scale of 1 to 100, Gary?
91.
I'm at a 90.
You're at a 90, so we're like almost right there, man.
Yeah.
I think that the original for me is like a 95 or 98. I don't think this quite measures up to it, but it is a really good movie. One of the best ones I've seen this year. Should be up for a lot of Oscars. It'll definitely be in my top 10, I predict, unless 10 incredible movies come out in the month of December, which they won't. So it is fully awarding of an A. Yeah, no,
it's definitely an A. The acting is you have to really enjoy looking at Ryan Gosling or not, because if you cannot stand Ryan Gosling's face, which apparently there's a civil war on that.
I don't get that. He's beautiful.
Yeah,
he's a beautiful human,
beautiful man. No matter what side of the aisle you fall on, if you like him, you have to be able to watch him for the whole film and not be mad about it, because it's entirely driven by him, and it's a great story. A little long, and you will not be out of visual love for this film.
Yeah.
All right, after this, we have Gimme 5, and we will be joined by the one and only Ruby Ramirez for her side comment. Right after this.
Red Ribbon Realty Group at HomeSmart is a full-service real estate team of Phoenix natives with over 15 years of experience in the industry. When you work with them, you have 2 full-time realtors representing your best interests throughout your entire transaction, whether you are selling, buying, or renting. They also believe in supporting their community. Use code word chopped greens, and Red Ribbon Realty Group will donate 15% of their net commission from your transaction to the nonprofit charity of your choice. Visit their website at www.redribbongroup.com and find them on Facebook. You can also email them at info@redribbongroup.com or call them at 602-888-6638. Red Ribbon Realty Group. Trust. Commitment. Home.
Unfortunately, none of you got to experience what I just did, which is Gary moaning as he's downing a hydro flask.
Like that.
Yeah. Audio-wise, it does not compare to what the whole visual package.
Ooh, I can do the Blade Runner score.
That's like right after the... Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Just needs to be like 10 times louder.
Yeah. I can't project my voice over 1,000,000 decibels like Hans Zimmer can.
There you go. Well, it's not his voice, but yes.
You know.
But you know what he could do? He could do, give me 5, Gary, which is which is the part of the show, which is right now, which is I got 5 questions for you. You've got 5 questions for me. We don't know what they are,
But we will.
answer them honestly. Ruby, as is custom, who gets to go first? Philip gets to go first.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Mark Ruffalo made a Hulk-sized mistake at the premiere of Marvel's latest superhero film, Thor Ragnarok. The star accidentally live-streamed a portion of the movie after forgetting to turn his phone off at the premiere.
No.
As stars often do, Ruffalo wanted to record and live-stream the applause from the audience on his Instagram account. However, he neglected to end the live stream before slipping his mobile phone back into his pocket. As a result, some 2,500 fans were able to hear audio of Thor Ragnarok, in which he reprises his role as Bruce Banner / the Hulk, about 3 weeks prior to its official release. From what I've heard, it was like the first 15 minutes.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was a long time. Gary, what is your biggest social media blunder? And why? And does Mark Ruffalo deserve to be fired for such a blunder?
Mark Ruffalo does not deserve to be fired because he's an amazing human and I love his face.
Yes.
Take that somewhere else. My biggest social media blunder, one comes to mind that still makes me cringe because my mom is a really nice lady, but sometimes she can be really scary, especially when you're grounded. And there was a time when I was in high school and I was grounded, and I told my mom that I had practice or something after school, and then I went to Target with my friends and I posted a bunch of Snapchats on my story. And I forgot that she was my Snapchat friend, and she found those Snapchats on my story, and she drove to Target and yelled at me and took me home. And it was really embarrassing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You go, Mama Boucher.
I know, right?
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, your turn, sir.
So I was wondering, I know that Ruby's here, so this might be a bit weird, but I'm just going to go for it anyways. If you were a single man living in the world of 2049, would you purchase a companion robot hologram person, and why or why not?
Actually, I would, only because they are the things that she was able to do. He put out
She made,
a cigarette,
yeah.
she lit
She
it.
lit it, and then she also just made him very happy. She was
It was a companion.
she was they didn't do anything physical. She was just welcome home, and he was oh, thanks, hon.
Right, I'm a bit of a and she also fixed dinner, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a bit of a learner by trade, so it'd be nice to have somebody there when you want and there when you don't, or not there when you don't want.
But Ruby's way better.
Ruby's 10 times better
20 times.
because I can tickle her. That's it? Yes. So, the answer to your question?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
I know you're not that into the NFL, Gary, but Ezekiel Elliott, who you may or may not have heard, is the star running back of the Dallas Cowboys.
Right now he ain't.
Now he's got a tarnished star, as his 6-game suspension has been reinstated after a federal appeals court ruled against the Cowboys star. But you know what he didn't get jailed for? Is having too much fun during Uber-Facts! Because it is actually Uber-Facts time, the part of the show where I've got 5 sets of facts for you. One of the facts in there is completely fake, Philip made, and I want you to go head-to-head against Ruby, see who does better. I don't think either one of you are going to be able to find the true fact in any of these.
That was the best segue into a Give Me 5. You totally had me. I was oh, football question. Cool.
No, not today,
Oh, my
Satan. Not
God.
today.
Oh, my
All right, here we go. Uber fact number 1. Ruby, are you ready to go head-to-head with the worst of all time?
Hey, I was 5 for 5 2 weeks ago.
The woat, as they call him, not the goat. The woat. All right, here we go, Ruby. You cannot lose to Gary. It will be the most embarrassing thing, and you'd have to put it on your resume. Here we go. Fact number 1. To reduce erosion and improve water quality, New York City is using 5,000 old toilets to create an oyster bed in Jamaica Bay. Fact number 2. Personal belongings were not allowed on planes until 1973 because of their potential to become a fire hazard. In fact, number 3, one of Oprah's biggest regrets is wheeling 67 pounds of fat on stage to illustrate how much weight she lost in an episode of her show.
Give me number 1 more time.
To reduce erosion and improve water quality, New York City is using 5,000 old toilets to create an oyster bed in Jamaica Bay.
Number 3 is the true one.
The true one? I'm looking for the false one.
Wait, oh.
One of them is
Give me the
false.
second, third, and fourth again.
There's only 3.
Okay.
So, I would assume that means that you need all 3 again. So essentially, it comes down to New York City's using 5,000 old toilets to create an oyster bed. Personal belongings were not on planes because of their potential to become a fire hazard until 1973. And then Oprah's biggest regret is wheeling fat on stage on a television show.
Number 2 is the false one.
Number 2.
Is the false one?
Yeah.
That is completely true that you both got it. You are both tied. Congratulations.
So is it false?
It is false.
Oh, you said number 2 is true.
I mean, it's true that it's false.
Oh,
That's weird.
God.
I wrote it weird. All right, anyways, yes. All right, next one. Beyonce once beat Kanye West at Connect 4 9 times in a row.
Wow.
Fact number 2. J.K. Rowling wrote the final chapter of the 7th Harry Potter book 9 years before the first book was even released. And fact number 3. The art of pickling was created by the Neotorama tribe from Neotorama tribe from the Andaman Island who pickled their own in order to not waste the meat of their tribe members when they died.
Number 3, you purposely screwed up the pronunciation to throw me off.
That's crazy.
Beyonce's stupid, so
Which one's the fake one, Ruby?
we'll go with stupid Beyonce.
Beyonce may be stupid, but those Connect 4s do not lie. She actually did beat Kanye West 9 times in a row.
Well, now we know Kanye's stupider.
Oh my gosh. And it's an actual tribe, but I don't believe that they invented pickling. So that is the false one.
I thought that you made up the tribe and then you mispronounced it on purpose to
No,
throw me off. And I was like, you're smooth, Mr.
Are
Emery.
we both wrong?
No, that's he's right in that
Okay,
Neotorama
that's
is
an
wrong.
interesting way of saying.
All right, next one. George Washington had over 13 acres of strawberry fields, and after leaving the presidency, he had a small and successful strawberry preserve business. Fact number 2, research shows that 1 in 4 new fathers experience symptoms of postpartum depression. And fact number 3, the last surviving witness of Abraham Lincoln's assassination passed away in 1956. Which one's the fake one?
Jesus Christ. Number 1.
George Washington?
That's about food. I know you.
Oh, fantastic. Do you think that they're all true?
Wait a minute. So George Washington, he did have strawberries.
Did he? Or do you just think you remember because Phil made it up and he's trying to play a trick on you? I'm sticking with it. You know how much your boyfriend makes up food facts on here? Food and animals.
So apparently, I was going to say food and animals are my telltale. So
What's the second one?
second one. Research shows that 1 in 4 new fathers experience symptoms of postpartum depression.
It's probably like 2 kids, so I'm gonna go with that one.
That's the false one. Wow, Gary really knows his strawberries. That is the false one. George Washington did not indeed have strawberry
Can't
fields.
get me with the historical figures with food.
I believe he died right after his presidency within a year. So, and he had a no, he had cotton. He lived in Virginia. Yep. If Luke was here, he would have destroyed on that one because he loves history. He's a history minor.
Really?
Right? Yes. All right, next one. A yearly survey focused on American cuisine has listed lima beans as the least favorite vegetable in America.
That's true.
Number 2, the first Corvette, which debuted in 1953, didn't have exterior door handles or windows. Fact number 3, an aardvark can dig up to 2 feet in 15 seconds. Now this is an interesting one because Gary says that the 2 signs are
It's
animals
the aardvark.
and food. But yet this one has animals and food.
Yeah, but the aardvark, that's a philism right there. When you give off the animal statistics like iguana farts.
I did get him on iguana fart one time.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad.
and iguanas do fart apparently. Aardvark is the false one.
Yep.
We got you, bro.
And Gary's still winning, but neither one of you guessed the right one. I completely made up the lima bean one. Don't even know the vegetable. I think it's considered a bean.
Oh yeah, it's considered a legume.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
Aardvarks can dig up to 2 feet in 15 seconds, though. Fantastic.
Well, you're getting me now.
All right, this last one actually has all my isms in it, so therefore it's a 4-1. It's 4 facts. You gotta find the fake one. Got a little harder.
4 facts.
4 facts. Here we go.
This is breaking the rules here, man.
Fact number 1, drinking at least 1 beer a day can strengthen your body's ability to heal and create calluses, leading to benefits such as jumping and swimming.
No, that's lying.
Fact number 2, mustard is the most popular hot dog topping. 71% of Americans top their hot dogs with mustard, while only 52% use ketchup. Fact number 3, Barack Obama was the first president to brew beer in the White House. And fact number 4, sloths only poop once a week. Man, don't these all sound like Philip could have made them up?
Mustard.
Mustard's the fake one.
Mustard's the fake one.
Ruby.
I'm assuming like some old presidents like Sam Adams were brewing Sam Adams in the White House. So
Fair enough.
I'm gonna go with the mustard because I think it's actually the other way around.
Okay.
You sneaky, slimy kid.
Well, it is. I feel like that's.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll go with it.
You're both going with mustard. You
Yes.
realize, Ruby, that if you go with Gary, you're forced to lose because you have a 1 on advantage on you. Okay. You're both wrong. Would you care to guess again since there were 4?
So now we have
You have
Barack Obama.
you have drinking at least 1 beer a day can strengthen
Oh,
your
it's that,
body's
it's
ability
that.
to heal and
That
create
one.
calluses. That's the fake one. You're
Yeah,
saying.
it's
Oh,
lying.
you're right.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the beer one too.
Yeah. All right. Well, you both got it wrong in the first place. That is the one because I said leading to benefits such as jumping. I thought it would be a great one, in fact, to incorporate hops in some way.
Oh
shape,
my
or
god.
form into-
I didn't even think about how dumb that was because you had all the other ones.
Sloths only poop once a week. God bless them. All right. So Gary went.
Wow, that was a very interesting gimme
Yes, it
5.
was, and it had all the facts in there. All my isms. All right.
You sent it to 4, man. The stakes have been cooked.
The steaks have been cooked, they've been raised, they are on a brickstone oven. Let's go. You go.
So I was listening to an interview today on public radio, which I'm a proud subscriber of. And they had Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton on there talking about our sports team's facilities. And I guess, I didn't know this, the Suns and the Diamondbacks both really want a new facility. And my question to you is, do you think that the Suns are better off just staying and revamping as well as the Diamondbacks? Or do you think that they are eventually going to give us an ultimatum and, hey, we're going to move or you're going to build us a completely new facility? Because I think that's what they want.
I think it depends on the sport and the thing because baseball is much different than basketball. Basketball, they have a couple options as to where they could play basketball. Baseball, I don't think that they have the leverage or threat of another place to go that could support baseball as well as Arizona, as Arizona itself. So, in essence, the Suns have more leverage, yet their stadium is better off in a better off condition than baseball. Yeah, baseball has a worse stadium and very little to no leverage. So it's I think both will stay.
Yeah.
Those aren't the sports that you should be worried about if you're a sports fan in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's hockey. But outside of that, they're both going to stay. It's just a matter of getting everything done in litigation, who has what written up.
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg has been forced to apologize a lot lately. The latest mea culpa from the Facebook CEO came on Tuesday when Zuckerberg said he was sorry for his virtual reality tour of Puerto Rico, which was intended to raise awareness for the hurricane-ravaged island. The stunt was widely panned as a tone deaf, and it only added to the awkwardness of Facebook trying to host a major Oculus VR press event on Wednesday amid its other public relations crises. 2 weeks ago, Zuckerberg expressed regret for initially being dismissive about the role misinformation on Facebook may have played in the presidential election. And in a Yom Kippur post on his Facebook page late last month, Zuckerberg asked for forgiveness, quote, for the ways my work was used to divide people rather than bring us together, end quote. Gary, do any of these negative events affect Facebook? And how much further will Facebook go before it becomes stale, if ever?
I definitely think that the misinformation in the election affects Facebook. I actually wasn't aware of the Oculus Puerto Rico thing, but I think that now people are a bit more aware and on the lookout for all the misinformation and stuff that circulated around. And I think I know that a lot of people just deleted or got off Facebook during the election because it was just too much for them, like all the hate that was going around. Facebook, it's changed social media and the way we communicate. I don't think it's going anywhere for a long time. It's still the preeminent social media giant right now, and they're trying to pop up in other countries, and I think they're going to get pretty much the whole world on there, and that's going to take a few decades, and I don't see them going anywhere for a long time. But they are under scrutiny now like they have never been before, because Facebook was really an everybody thing, and now it's kind of a political thing, you know?
Yeah, I think Facebook is going to reach a tipping point to where it becomes the next MySpace. I think that's kind of how social media is branded. It's a longer version of those Facebook games in and of itself, where it has its time, it has its run. Farmville was great for the first year, maybe year and a half. Then they were just slowly waned out.
Farmville.
Now it's pretty much dead. So, and it's just grown on to bigger and other games that you just waste time on. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, your turn.
All right, so big scandal news out of Hollywood this week.
Oh yes.
Harvey Weinstein, one of the biggest producers, apparently is a total douchebag and creep and sexually preyed on dozens of women. And now that, more are coming out, they're, encouraging others to come forward, and the evidence is really building against them, and it's really disgusting and despicable. And my question to you is, so the Weinstein Company has produced a lot of Oscar winners. Do you think that they will recover as a studio and move away from him, maybe rename and rebrand and keep going forward? Or do you think that it's going to leave such a bad taste in Hollywood's, in the public's mouth, that they're going to have to disband?
No, unfortunately, where there's money, there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll still be able to attract the high quality that they could in the past. They're probably going to be forced to take more chances and more risks, such a la Robert Downey Jr. after
Meth.
After Meth, yes. Before Iron Man, essentially.
Yeah.
Just take chances on, Mickey Rourke. Something like, I'm just coming off of the actors on the top of my head. Or people who just don't care. I don't even know who that may be. But
Harvey Weinstein with the Lindsay Lohan comeback movie.
Yeah. So we'll see. And it's kind of hard to disassociate yourself as the Weinstein Company if you're.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get a new name because that's just not gonna work anymore.
So, I think that they'll survive. Obviously.
Yeah.
Almost unfortunately, because you wish nothing but nothing.
Justice.
Yeah, you wish for justice in something like that.
I hope that he goes away for pretty much the rest of his life if this evidence builds against him, because it's awful.
Yeah, well, apparently there was already a case in 2015 that got dismissed, so we'll want to see if there is a case to be made.
Yeah.
If anything comes of it, hopefully there is. But we won't know for a little bit. We'll have to live with that story. But on to lighter news, Gary.
Yeah.
It's time to hatch, feed, and clean up after your virtual pets yet again.
What?
Tamagotchi is back of the toy's 20th anniversary. Bandai America has officially announced that a new set of Tamagotchi toys, smaller at about 60% the size of the toys you may remember playing with in the 90s, will be available in limited qualities on November 5th for $14.99.
I love Tamagotchi. Oh my god.
Yeah, we were very excited when we broached this toy last week. How many are you gonna buy now that you are a fully functioning adult? And should I warn Maddie now that there will be a newborn baby boy or girl that you'll be bringing home soon?
I'm definitely gonna have to buy one for myself, two for my sisters, and one for Maddie. And I'm just smiling right now, dude. I love Tamagotchi. Oh, this is so exciting. Oh, I can't believe this is the first time I'm finding out about this, so I'm going to have to get myself one.
Genuine response.
I know that my sisters are going to want it too, so I'm going to have to get it for them. And maybe I might get more for me. I don't know.
This is a genuine interest right
I don't know. Come on.
All right, fair enough. Your turn, sir.
So we were just talking about meddling and misinformation in the election, and I have just found out that the Russians have allegedly used many ways to influence our election, including Pokemon Go. Placing ads and users in there to spew
Is there no
rhetoric.
blow that they won't
Exactly.
go?
So they used about everything. And my question to you is, if you were taking over the world, what unconventional way would you go about it? Like with what platform would you put your message? What would you do?
You put why can't I think of the word?
Yeah, right there. You put
No, it's what if you're trying to listen in on somebody's conversation. It is a
Eavesdropper?
By a bug, yeah.
Eavesdropper? Bug?
Yeah, an eavesdrop of some sort of eavesdropping bug, electronical bug.
Yeah.
In everybody's Amazon packages. Amazon would be my venue.
Amazon. That's good. Everybody uses Amazon.
Everybody uses Amazon, gets it shipped directly in. You bring it in the house. Smart.
There you go. You were like really ready with that one.
Yeah, easy. I just couldn't figure out the words. But
Expected some more deliberation there.
Yes. All right, Ruby, gonna need your help here. Gary's gonna need your help. We're gonna need your help. The world's gonna need your help, Ruby. We're gonna cap off this whole session with a second attempt at a list game. I'm going to give us 60 seconds to try and figure out. Ruby, are you ready? Alright, these list of celebrities who share a birthday this week. So it's all over this week. These are celebrities. They are all living. And we'll just see how it goes.
So am I just naming off people
You're just gonna, no, I'm going to give you a hint, and we'll have 60 seconds
to name as many?
to
Okay.
name as many as
Let's do it.
Really bad.
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. This is the actor who played Borat and...
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next one. Best wide receiver of all time in the NFL.
Jerry Rice.
Yes. Next one. X-Men. Wolverine.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Yes.
Yes, there
Next
you go.
one. Yells and he's next to Skip Bayless. We'll know
Stephen
why.
A.
Stephen A. Smith. This next one. He discovered Justin Bieber. And he had herpes. Yes.
Oh shit.
Best point guard in the league.
Chris Paul?
My favorite point guard in the league.
Kyrie.
No, my favorite. He plays for the Bears. In the league. In the NBA. In the NBA.
The Bears.
The Bears. I can't exactly say their name, but which is the Bear team in the
Grizzly
NBA?
Bears.
The Bulls.
Yeah, the-
Mike Conley.
Yes, Mike.
What?
Alright, last one. He played forever. He played for the Vikings then, but more.
Brett Favre.
Yes! We did it!
I have no idea.
You got the Usher one. I would have
Yeah,
never
sure,
gotten
yeah,
that.
Usher one.
Okay, but they were all sports. You know, I don't know sport.
That's just who has names. That's who's having a birthday this week.
Well, they don't
I can't control who has a birthday. But
Phil,
yeah,
change
Sacha,
it.
Sacha Baron Cohen, Hugh Jackman, Stephen A. Smith, Usher, Mike Conley. The Bears? Who plays for the
I was
Bears?
like, what do you mean the Bulls? The Chicago?
The Grizzlies, yes, the Grizzlies. I felt like...
He's your favorite point guard.
Have you ever done the game with him with the names of teams off the cities?
No, I imagine he knows all the teams in the
never
NBA,
mind.
right?
Yeah. I hope so. I might get confused with the whole New Orleans Charlotte thing, but,
Yes, but-
I thought you were just looking at the ice in the bottle. I saw you were like,
All
Sorry,
right,
listeners.
your last one, Gary.
alrighty, Phil. I want to cap this off. So we saw a really good movie this week that's already getting Oscar buzz, and we've talked a lot about potential winners. But now that we're getting close to the end of the year and going into Oscar season, what are some of your predictions? Maybe not for every category, but big ones: Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Visual Effects, Screenplay, anything that you can think of that stands out to you this year. Just to kind of recap.
I'm gonna steal your thunder, but Best Actor to me actually does go to Aaron Sorkin.
Andy Serkis.
For War of the Planet of the Apes.
Andy Serkis. Aaron Sorkin's the screenwriter, but yeah,
yes.
I knew you meant A.S. Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he got nominated, I would love it. I would flip out, dude. That would be
It's
incredible.
Really not close. Even my Best Picture nominations, none of them have as nuanced an impact as he had in that entire film. That entire
Yeah.
film became a Best Picture nomination for the simple fact of his being in it.
Yep.
So I would place him squarely there. I would hope he'd win, or at least.
Do you think Blade Runner's gonna nab like a Best Picture nomination?
Best Picture? No, not Best Picture.
It'll win Best Visual Effects.
Best Visual Effects.
For sure.
Ooh, Star Wars is coming out.
So,
Star Wars will get nominated, but I think Blade Runner will win over Star Wars.
Okay. Star Wars is going to be nominated for a couple of Academy Awards.
Blade Runner has a good story.
But that doesn't change how it affects. Star Wars is like always going to be nominated for visual effects if done correct.
Yeah.
I don't think Rogue One was even nominated, right?
Yeah, well, Force Awakens definitely was. I mean, most Star Wars films
Rogue One
are.
was nominated for cinematography.
What are like probably visual effects, like all the sci-fi films. Like I'm sure Valerian will get nominated for visual effects.
Oh, God. Anyways, best actress. Oh, I'm trying to think of the movies we've seen. Definitely doesn't go to The Mummy.
Unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of female-driven films this year. I'm trying to think of the ones that really stood. I mean,
I'd
probably have to go
maybe
back
Emma
and.
Stone for Battle of the Sexes, I heard, is pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't get to catch that, but you know, I would love to throw in a Best Supporting Actress for the girl who played Jared Leto's assistant in Blade Runner.
Oh, really?
She was so good, dude. I loved her.
I hated her.
But like,
That's the point.
because she was good, right?
Yeah.
That'd be Sylvia Hoeks.
Like, yeah, she was awesome.
I was really happy
When she was done acting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay, let's go to best movie. I hope that The Big Sick would be nominated.
I think it'll
Yes!
get Best Original Screenplay. Like
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it'll win.
Gosh, that
I
was
don't know
so
if it'll
good.
win, but I think it'll be nominated, like you said. I don't
Yeah.
even know that it'll win that. But best overall film, I think that's got to go to.
The basic.
No, it's not.
It's gonna be something more dramatic,
It's gotta be something,
probably.
yeah, dramatic. It might be. Oh. I think even Detroit might get nominated.
Man.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. So like Logan is on there, but I don't.
Yeah, I
think
keep on
that
forgetting about
it'll
Logan.
win. This is really hard. Pirates of the Caribbean will be out. I'm trying to think of our 98 best films, like our best films that we've seen so far.
Dunkirk maybe. Dunkirk's
Oh,
up
it'll
there.
probably be nominated, which is weird. 'cause,
Yeah.
That's from the 2017. Just trying to find a list even. Oh, Baby Driver.
Ah, Baby Driver. We saw Wonder Woman. Big female protagonist, but since it's a comic book movie, she probably won't get nominated, but she did really good.
Wait, it gets nominated.
Best adapted screenplay, it'll get a nomination for best
Yeah.
adapted screenplay.
Okay.
But Gal Gadot, come on, man.
She's amazing.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster film though. Unfortunately, I don't think we've seen any of the films outside. Oh, Good Time. Good Time might be up for something.
Yep.
That might be up for something. That's one with Robert Pattinson, and he's
Kong Skull Island.
he's not going to be up there. Get Out. Get Out will be up.
Original screenplay for sure for Get Out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Baby Driver might be the one.
I would love for that,
That
to
might
get
be the
nominated.
one
Oh my God.
blockbuster film that actually gets nominated. And if it's nominated, it could actually win.
I mean, there's a freaking period piece coming out with Gary Oldman about what's his face, the guy who was Prime Minister of Britain during World War II, Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. I've seen
There's a
that.
Winston Churchill movie coming out.
That's
It's a
probably-
period piece. It'll win a lot of
It's
awards.
gonna win a lot.
It's a period piece.
And it's a character piece where where
Gary Oldman wears
Right.
prosthetic and does an amazing performance. It'll win something.
Okay. War for the Planet of the Apes should be nominated for something it's not going to be.
Yeah, it deserves a nomination,
It's going to be
though.
up for like maybe cinematic effects as well.
Yeah.
But nothing. Dunkirk is probably going to win Best Soundtrack, even though it's one of the most disappointing films that was built up. Yeah. So that's my list. Very, very early. Too early for really this list to go.
Yeah.
And be legitimate. I don't even know. I'm looking at the list. There's not really a film. Logan Lucky, I don't even think is going to get nominated for anything.
No, I don't think so at all.
Fate of the Furious.
No, that's not. that will not. The last Fast and the Furious had a better chance of being nominated than that one does. Victoria and Abdul might be. We missed that one.
Yeah, I heard all about that. That's also something set in England, so
yeah,
there you
it's a
go.
period piece and it's
Yeah.
with a great actress. So, all right. But yeah, those are my early
Early Oscar predictions.
predictions.